Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Storytime. I am your host, Courtney Baker. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bachelor Nation, you're going to love this one. I know I've brought you a few amazing guests, and I have another one who's just as sweet and awesome as the others. This episode is with Sydney Lotuaco from Colton's season. She is so kind and amazing. And I hope that y'all really get to know her. I know y'all know her from the show, but this is the chance to kind of get to know her outside of the show. And I hope that y'all follow her after and just really enjoy the episode. All right, y'all, welcome back. I am so thrilled to have Sydney Lotuaco on the episode. Sydney, how are you today?
I'm great. You said my last name right. That never happens.
Oh my gosh. I get so anxious over people's names. I watched videos prior to this interview.
Oh
I
my
was like, I
God,
don't
you
want
could
to
have just
mess it
asked. That's so
up.
sweet.
So, of course. So, are you in LA right now, or where are you right now?
No, I'm actually, and my boyfriend's in Ohio. So I was in LA before, I guess, COVID. But as of, I think, September, I moved all my stuff here because my lease was up. So I don't know what's going to happen now, but for now, I'm in Ohio.
Nice. Well, we are going to talk about your boyfriend in a little bit. But of course, we're actually going to start pre-Bachelor. So you were an NBA dancer. I worked for the Suns and got to know the dancers pretty well. I was on the marketing activation side. And a lot of people think that the dancers are just like, you go out, show up, do your dance, and that's it. Just pretty, all of that. But there's so much work that goes into being an NBA dancer. So if you can kind of take me through the highlights and challenges and just kind of explain to everyone just how tough of a job it was.
Totally. Yeah. They say it's a part-time job, but a full-time commitment. And it's very true because if you think about it, we are supposed to be there for all the games in the arena. So all the ones that they're in the actual arena that they have. And so that's like 40 something games. And we don't just show up and look pretty and that's it. We have to be there usually around noon. Like we get there before the players even get there to warm up. And then we have court rehearsal because we have to figure out where our spots are on the court and have all that memorized. So we run it a few times, full rehearsal there, and then we go straight into getting ready, which takes forever, as you would imagine. And then we have another rehearsal in the back, before the game actually starts, and that could be a very long rehearsal depending on how well we're doing, or quick depending on how we did that day. So yeah, it's pretty extensive. And then obviously the game goes until 10, and then you wake up and you do whatever you're doing the next day. So not only is the actual job extensive, even just the audition was extensive. It was like a 5-day process, a lot of cuts, you're wearing heels, you're dancing on a court. It's a lot. So really tough job to get. It was one of the best I've ever had. I had a blast. It's a team of 20 women, all inspiring, and they really push you and teach you a lot about just hard work and dancing and just being representing this huge brand and being a woman. So it's an amazing experience for sure.
Awesome. And then the NBA dancers are trained amazing dancers. So for you, when did you fall in love with dance and decide that you wanted to make a career out of it?
Yeah, so I started my dancing journey when I was a 3-year-old, so it was kind of chosen for me. So it was kind of like a through line throughout my entire life. So I didn't necessarily think I was going to be doing it professionally until I got time where I was applying for colleges and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And I'd spent my entire life, as I said, dancing. So it was one of those things where I just didn't see that ending just because I was graduating high school, and I've always had to keep that balance. And I was good at school and things like that, but I wanted to see what this could be, because it's definitely when you think about doing dance as a career, you know that you're signing up for a very tough one. It's definitely not something that's handed to you. There's not really a through line of how to do it. Some people do it right out of high school. Some people do it right out of, they go to college and do it that way. For me, I wanted to have that college experience, but it was just, I wanted to see what could happen, and I wanted to take that chance on myself. And because it's an awesome job if you can really make it work. It was just a matter of not wanting to give it up yet.
Oh, and then speaking of taking chances on yourself, you were on Colton's season of The Bachelor. what made you want to do the show? Because I watched the season and you were clearly one of the ones that went in there looking for a husband, serious about it, like super mature about the whole thing. What made you want to go on reality TV for it?
That was definitely nothing I had planned. I would always joke with my friends saying like, "Oh, if I'm still single by this age, I'll probably end up on The Bachelor. That'd be funny." But it was never something I sought out. I never even looked into applying or how that would work. I just kind of joked about it. But I was on the Knicks, and one of my friends someone had submitted her for The Bachelor, and she had just gotten back in a relationship, so she knew about the open call that was happening because I was in New York at the time. And she was like, "It's on Thursday if you want to go. They keep calling me, but I'm not going to go. And I think I just want to hear about it. So you should go." And I was like, "Oh, that'd be funny." And I'm just used to going to a bunch of auditions and casting. So it was like the regular Thursday. But that casting process was insane. Obviously, a lot of fans show up. It was like the line was wrapped around the block. It was crazy, and so many women, and everyone's super excited, and there was like cameras interviewing people in the line. It was a whole thing, and I was like, what did I just get myself into? So then I just went as thought it'd be funny, and then I thought that would be it, and I went with a friend from the team, and I went through the interview process. It was quick, and then I left, took my stuff, and I was like, cool, that was fun, bye. And then I got an immediate phone call right as I was walking out of the building from an LA number, and I didn't know who this was, but I answered it, and they were like, "Hey, your microphone wasn't working. Can you come back in and just redo your interview?" I was like, "That's super weird, but okay." So I go back in. They set me up with a different camera. And then there's like 5 people surrounding my camera. And then there's like a bunch of more questions they were asking me. I was like, my microphone was definitely working. You guys are liars, but okay. So then from there, they handed me this like envelope, and they were like, don't show anyone this. And they took me to the next round. It was me and my friend who got like taken to the next round. And then from there's many rounds. And then eventually I ended up on the show. So it was definitely not something I had planned, but it was one of those things where it kind of happened and kind of fell in my lap, which for me as a dancer, that's not something that normally happens. That's all about like hard work and hearing a lot of no's. So this was like a yes that happened out of nowhere. So I was like, why not? Let's see what this is about. So.
And you did something on the show that I doesn't happen very often, but I think it's so important for young teens or just anybody really watching the show. You actually quit the show. You told Colton, it wasn't a good fit. So for anyone out there that's watching this, whether they're a female or male, what advice would you give them? I mean, because it was just, you could have stayed on the show. You could have just wrote it out. But for you to actually just take a stand, say how you feel, know what you want, what advice would you give for everyone that was watching that and felt it?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I always kind of struggled with dating, and I was dating in New York City, so it was kind of difficult, but I never wanted to settle. And it took me a lot of bad dates, a lot of trial and error, a lot of like disappointments. And I kind of just pushed that part of my life away, so that me going on The Bachelor, I wanted to focus on dating and really trying to find something, because I was clear on like I wanted something serious and I wanted something real, because at this point I was 27. I had never had a relationship before. So I had never taken anyone home to my parents. All of this was like serious to me. And it was for me to be in this situation, I wasn't really there for anything but like really trying to figure out if the guy that was The Bachelor, who for me it was Colton, could have been someone I could see myself with at the end of it. Because even though it is TV and it's fun and it's like Instagram followers, whatever, I know for me as a human, like I need to make sure that I'm finding something real and I'm not faking it, because it wouldn't be the right experience for me. So for me with Colton, I really tried to push him. I really tried to get what I thought he could be for me out of him. He was always just really closed off to me, and I don't know if that was something that was conscious or just the way it was, but anytime I talked to him, it was kind of just surface level, didn't really get deep with me. And he's a nice enough guy, but I was just like, this is not really, I don't really know you. And by the point I was at, hometowns was the next week. So I knew that for me to take him home to my family, that would be him meeting my parents, and they've never met a guy that I've ever brought home. So it would be really weird, especially if I'd be like, hi, this is my boyfriend that I don't really know very much, and he's the first guy you're ever meeting. So for me, that was all in the back of my head. But I just know for going on that show, like it's a two-way street. And yes, it's like they're The Bachelor, they're the main character, but it's a relationship, and a relationship should always go both ways. So
Mhm.
I would say advice as far as what I knew for that. Like if you know something's right, like in your gut, don't stay around. Like don't be afraid to say no to things, even though like you're dating a lot and it's hard to find someone and this person falls into your lap and they seem like they could be a good match, but you can tell that there's something off, because we always
Mhm.
know in our gut. Like walk away from that, because a lot of times when you stick with a thing that's not meant for you or it's not right for you, then you're blocking yourself from the actual person that is right for you. So it's just like a
Mhm.
matter of knowing yourself, knowing what you're looking for, and being clear on that and being unafraid to say no, because honestly, you're going to be so much better off if you say that no for when you actually find the right person.
That's awesome advice. I love that. And so I've interviewed a couple other Bachelor Nation people on the show. I'm a huge fan, so I love having the guests on the show. But you were the first female. So I am really curious to know, with the guys, it's a little different when I'm asking, like, okay, how were your DMs post show?
Mm-hmm.
But for you, I mean, it just seems like all the women on the show, no matter if they're painted the villain or the favorite or whatever, it's still
Mm-hmm.
so toxic on
Yeah.
social media. Just people attacking and just saying whatever they want, not realizing that you are an actual human being. So what was that like for you? Did you like give it any attention? Did you read it? What was that like post show?
Yeah, you never really know what to expect. And with social media, it can get really bad really quick. I just
Mm-hmm.
remember watching myself on the show, and nothing was ever bad for me as far as an edit, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I would wake up with anxiety every day, just like knowing what my DMs would look like just knowing that I'd be on TV, just like a lot of things that you're considering, and just like you're protecting yourself in a way. So yeah, it's definitely, you know that you're signing up for the show and you know that you're kind of opening yourself up to scrutiny, but until you're actually in the moment, you really don't understand what that's going to feel like. So it's definitely difficult. I mean, I've had a thick skin for a lot of my life because I'm with dance and like auditioning, you hear no a lot, you get criticized a lot, it's a lot of things like that, but it's never fun and it's not something that you enjoy. So, and everyone gets it to some extent, but it's a matter of after a while of getting it or just like having moments of it, I've just learned. I asked this myself, like, would someone that I know well say this thing about me? Would someone that I actually am friends with say this thing about me? And every time, no, because anyone that knows me well would never think those things about me. And I'm pretty clear on that. So like that
Mm-hmm.
helps me to kind of stay grounded, and talking out with my friends and things like that, just to kind of be like, should I feel like this about it?
Mm-hmm.
I tend to respond if it's like really bad, because I don't want anyone to feel like they can, I'm like a victim or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for the most part, ignoring it, blocking people when you need to, and kind of taking breaks from your phone when it gets a little bit overwhelming.
And I think that's important advice too. Just social media in general, 2020, people are in bad moods all the time. They're angry. And so there's been a lot of that cancel culture and just attacking people. So I think that's really good advice too. Just to, if you need to, take a break, put your phone down and not
Mhm.
take it too personally. And then, final Bachelor question. You were on tour. I know it was, I think you guys were about to come to Reno, and then I think
I think we
COVID
did do
happened.
Reno.
You guys were in Reno?
I think
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. That's right. Julian was the Bachelor, one of
Yeah,
the
we did
news
do Reno
guys.
because Garrett was there and that was like his hometown. Yeah, we definitely did do Reno. It was
That's
fun.
right. I have it all confused. March feels like a decade ago.
Yeah.
But how exciting was it to go on tour? I know you and Becca are obviously good friends. So how fun was it just doing the country together?
Yeah, I mean, I love that experience. That was like a dream in all aspects. It was kind of combining my dance life and my past and then my bachelor world that I was in, and kind of like slamming them together. So it was like a perfect storm for me. It was amazing, and like the best part of it is like the cast of it was so incredible. It was a small group. There was 4 dancers, including myself, and then Becca and Ben were the hosts, and then we would have a different bachelor from each city and different bachelorettes, and it was just so fun. I got to dance, and we got to like literally make love connections happen on stage. There's people that are still dating now. It's
Oh,
we've only done a few cities, but it was such a fun time, and the bus was awesome. And it for also for dancers, like it's rare to be treated so well in a job, and that they treated us amazingly, and it was just like really cool to see. So I miss it a lot. It's definitely something that I hope comes back, and it's
mhm.
because it was just so fun. Like the audience loved it. The people in the show loved it. It was just like a great, great experience. And we were kind of just getting our, getting the ball rolling. But yeah, overall, it was just a great time.
Love that. Well, hopefully once the world somewhat gets back to normal, the tour can continue.
Yeah, I
But
hope so.
you did find something very positive in COVID and quarantine. You mentioned a little earlier. You have a boyfriend that you're living with, and I heard just it was through a DM is how the connection started. So kind of take
Hmm.
me through how that all happened.
Yeah. So, kind of with quarantine, I decided to go back to my family once tour was ending or paused. We thought it was going to be for a week, but it ended up being for much longer. So I was on my phone a lot. I was at home, and my current boyfriend, he had DM'd me before. He had watched Colton season and seen me on it, and I guess took a liking to me in some way. Um, and he was following me, and so he would randomly just like respond to things I was putting up. So I would always put up question stickers because that was fun. And he would send me really like funny questions, and they were always like intriguing because normally questions are not so like they're kind of basic, but he was always thought outside the box. So it was like interesting. So I always took note of him, like, oh, that guy's funny. Like I always knew that he would, whenever I put up question stickers, he'd be there. So that was that for like our relationship. And then it wasn't until quarantine where we had like a back and forth between the both of us, and that's when I actually looked at like who I was talking to and paid a little bit more attention to it. I was like, oh, this guy's really funny, like this could be something or it could be nothing. And I knew at that point he lived in Ohio, I was in Virginia, technically I lived in LA, so I didn't really think anything would ever happen from it. And then we got to the end of like 2 days of DMing, and he gave me his number and was like, hey, listen, if you're ever in Ohio, let me know. I'd love to take you out. But otherwise, here's my number. It was great talking to you during quarantine. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was like, well, shoot, if I don't text him, this is going to end, and this was fun, or I can just go about my life and, we'll see. But so then I was like, no, whatever. I'll just text him, and why not? It can't hurt. So I texted him, and then we kept talking, and then it turned to FaceTime, and like we ended up creating this relationship over FaceTime. We talked, I think, for at least 3 months before ever meeting in person. And we talked every single night. And like, I would just go to my room, my childhood bedroom, just talk to this guy that I hadn't met. But it was weird how quickly we were able to create something. And for me, it worked a lot because that physical element was kind of taken out of it. So we really had to like get to know each other. And so then by the time we met in person, we were kind of like really knew each other well. And we were just taking the risk of seeing if this was going to be the same in person as it was over the phone. And luckily it was. So yeah. So then we officially just started dating as soon as I flew to Ohio to randomly meet him. It was really weird for my family, but eventually they wrapped their head around it. And then we planned to do long distance because my original plan was to go back to LA at some point because I thought COVID would end at some point, but here we are still in it. So my lease was up in September, and we had been dating since technically June, been talking since like March, I guess. So I was like, what do I do? Do I move back to LA, find a like keep my apartment, or what do I do now? But it just like the right thing for me seemed that I shouldn't be in LA right now. There's not really a lot open for me as a dancer and a fitness trainer, like not much. There's not really any opportunity for that right now. So like,
Yeah.
and I was doing everything online as it was. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna move into Ohio and we'll see how this goes. So now I've been here since September, I guess, officially. Well, I actually flew here in August and kind of stayed. But I mean, none of this was planned, but for me, it's just kind of letting the chips fall where they may and just seeing what happens. Cause normally I'd be a person that would like want to plan everything and really try to keep my life like, in check, but it's kind of like worked out beautifully. So here I
That's
am.
so special. And I think, see, for everyone out there, it is possible to find love in quarantine during COVID. It made
Mm-hmm.
me laugh because there was a huge tweet thread that was started by somebody that I follow, and they were like, okay, ladies, how are we finding love in quarantine? So apparently it's in the DMs and it works. And what
Yeah.
is the best thing? I know you said taking out the physical aspect in the beginning really helped and was awesome, but what is the most special thing about him or your relationship that just gets you so excited?
He always makes me laugh, even from when I didn't even know who he was. He made me laugh. So
Mhm.
that he keeps things light. And he was different in the way that he was really open about his feelings, and it's not typical for the men I was meeting. So it was just like a refreshing thing. He was ready for something serious, as I was. And I also had a lot of fear on the fact that I'd never been in a relationship before, and being at the age I was. And was super understanding of that. That like wasn't something that made him uncomfortable or he was weird about. So that I just always felt like seen and understood and just like safe in a way with him.
Mhm.
And it just, we always had like a fun time. So yeah, just like a lot of factors kind of lined up, but it's pretty great.
Oh, I love that. And I wish you two the absolute best in the future
Thank
and hope that
you.
y'all stay happy and all of that. So, and then final question. I know you host a couple podcasts. I know you mentioned fitness. So, what have you been doing either before COVID that will start again when COVID's back, or what you're currently doing right now that people can keep up with you?
Yeah. So before COVID, I was on tour. So I was
Mhm.
dancing and really auditioning and really trying to get like my feet wet in LA. I was doing well, and then COVID, but I think this time has taught me to be creative. And like my whole life, ever since I was, like I said, I was a 3-year-old, I started dancing. That was always my focus. Now I'm trying to figure out what shifts I can make to keep that like artistic, creative part of my life alive within the restraints of being inside more and not being able to like have live audiences and things like that. So I started a podcast. I had one originally. That one's no longer because it didn't really work out with that girl. But I have one now with a friend from the franchise, which I'm sure everyone knows, Nicole Lopez from Bachelor in Paradise and my season on Colton season. And so we were best friends from the show, and we started this podcast together called Black Beans and Rice. And we basically wanted it to be like a community and, you know, like the friends that everyone needs, especially right now. And we were having a lot of fun. We talk Bachelor, we have some guests, we talk pop culture, we talk relationship, kind of everything.
Mhm.
And it's been a blast. We've been around for like a month now. So it's pretty
Okay.
new, but it's been awesome. So that, and then I've just been teaching a lot because I was a fitness trainer before
Mhm.
all of this for a while, 6 years, I think now. So I've been just doing that on Zoom, or I teach on a company called Flexit, which is like private. So just kind of staying busy and active as much as I can.
I need to get on that with the fitness because I will tell you right now, putting on jeans in June after a few months of quarantine, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this is not
The jeans are
happening.
not fitting the same.
I am in sweatpants any day I can now, but I'll definitely need to look into working out with you. So, where I'm
Yeah.
sure many other people are in the same boat, where can people find out more information about that?
Yeah, so pretty much everything I do is generally on Instagram. So you can probably find me there. It's just my name, Sydney Lotuaco, Lotuaco. So I put up my fitness, my classes that I teach on Zoom just for like donations. I also have like a link to all of the classes that I teach for Flexit is the company, and then the podcast, we put everything out there. So, and we also have a podcast Instagram, Black Beans and Rice Pod. So kind of everything's pretty much on Instagram. You can DM me because I usually answer, as you know, because I met my boyfriend in the DMs. So, yeah, so everything's pretty much there.
Perfect. Well, Sydney, thank you so much for the time. It has been such an honor having you on the show. You were so sweet.
Of
And
course.
you're welcome back anytime. So
Thank
have
you. Would love it.